Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. We have with us on the line Dr. Johnnie Griffin. She's a professor at Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. Good morning, Dr. Griffin.
Good morning, Dr. Brooks. So good to hear you.
Well, it seemed like only yesterday you were with us. We were using cassette tapes at that time. Been 3 or 4 years ago, I think your son was up here at the VA, and I think intern, his son David Bogiel.
That's right. Yes, he was working there.
He's an employee. Okay,
he was an employee. Yes.
And he's gone. I haven't seen him in a long time. No, he's.
He moved away to he lives in Arkansas at the moment.
Ah, fantastic.
Right.
You know, Lake County is approximately 750 to 800,000 people. I don't know how many up is 5 o'clock this morning, early Sunday morning, listen to the program, but I understand we have a pretty good audience. And those that are up are very fortunate because we're going to be talking about a topic that's nationwide, and that's apathy. Tell us, what is apathy?
Okay, that is a wonderful topic, apathy, and we can talk about all kinds of things. I'd first like to define the difference, because sometimes we don't know what words mean.
Okay.
The difference between apathy, sympathy, and empathy. Okay, because we talk about there's a problem with apathy. People are very apathetic about what the issues are and what's affecting the communities, what's affecting the United States, what's affecting the world. They're very apathetic but don't really know what it means. Now, starting off with apathy is defined. You can look it up in different dictionaries. I looked it up in the Oxford American Dictionary. It's defined as a lack of interest or enthusiasm. Okay? Apathy is a lack of interest or enthusiasm, okay? Sympathy is the feeling of feeling sorry for someone who is unhappy or in a difficult situation, or sympathy is the support for or approval of an idea or cause, and it's also the understanding between people who have similar views or interests. And empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. Now, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Okay. With sympathy, you have a feeling. With empathy, there's the focus on the understanding.
Okay.
Now, apathy, you don't have any of that. No feeling, no understanding, no enthusiasm, and that's what we're talking about, apathy today.
Fantastic. That's a situation that a person is really in bad shape, that there's just nothing. And we have so much in the country. Why is there so much in the country?
Well, you know what, that's interesting because we also, I'm a sociologist, so I think, breathe, and act sociological at times, and my students think I'm crazy, actually. But sometimes, we don't ask the question, why are people apathetic, and how they got to be apathetic. We kind of describe what we see and what we describe as apathy. But how did people really get to be apathetic, or lack of enthusiasm in the country? And about what are they apathetic about? You understand?
Okay.
So ask me your question again so I can move on with it. I'll overtalk everybody.
Well, no, go ahead. I want to know why there's so much apathy in the country, and not only just locally, but in the country.
Well, actually, when we talk about why there's so much, we have to also determine who's the source of letting you think or letting you know that there's so much apathy. Do we learn about it? Do we hear about it in the churches and schools and communities? Where do we get this idea of there being so much apathy? And then, of course, apathy about what? There's so much of it because the media tells us there's so much.
Okay.
See, the media tells us, and then we pick up on it, and then we start believing and acting accordingly. The media puts out what the media want to put out.
Okay.
And we think that this is the way it is because this is what the media say it is. The media, of course, is a plural word, so I'll be using plural verbs.
Okay, right.
So when you hear people say that 50% do this and 75% do that, you always consider the source.
Okay.
One of the problems we have with being apathetic is that we do consider the source. And sometimes when someone is trying to explain a situation, we have gotten to the point that we are looking at who that person is, what position that person has, what kind of education does that person have, and we don't even think about what people have or what advice we can get, what knowledge we can get from people who are not formally educated. Now, you and I are both formally educated, but that does not mean that we know everything. That does not mean we can't learn from everybody. And oftentimes you have people who have little or no education, especially our black folk with wisdom. They will tell you what's going on, but you're not going to listen to them because they're not educated. You're going to listen to who the media say, and I'm not anti-media, of course, who they say are the experts. We have this idea of who an expert is, or who is someone that we want to come and talk to us because somebody has said that this person knows what's going on, or this person's going to tell us things. We don't even listen to certain people, and whatever this person that we have put in front of us to tell us things or talk about issues, we and I say we, and I haven't quantified it because we go what percentage, whatever. But we need to think about who are the people that are telling us what is important in the community, what is important in the country, what are some of these things. And right now I'm talking very abstractly. We haven't really pinpointed any specific cause, any specific issue, and we can get into the specifics, understanding to keep in mind what we mean by apathy, what we mean by why is it, what's causing it, who's telling us that we are this way, and then once you think about that, then perhaps we can go on to doing something and building up the enthusiasm and causing some changes in the community and in the country and in the world, because we've got to start thinking worldly, and that's interesting because many people are not even thinking community-wide. Many people are not even looking at the news, because the news, I really sometimes do not like to listen to the news, because the first thing they tell you is something very negative, who got killed, where they got killed, and we're very apathetic about that. We don't protest the fact that we hear all this bad news. What do? We just turn it off. We don't understand, because we are apathetic, we don't understand, and I mean people in general, that we can do something about this. We can say, look, I don't want to hear this, and we do say it in kind, because we stop buying newspapers. We just stop reading. We stop reading about all this negative stuff. We turn it off.
Well, the situation here in North Chicago, the mayor, and he's an African American mayor, that had what we call community days. That was the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August, and we had hundreds of people that attended, but they don't participate in voting at all. In other words, they had the community days, and they look forward to next year community days. That's the only thing. That's the only highlight that's in the city, which is an African American town. Right.
Now, I've lived all over the country, and that is not just something that's going on in North Chicago.
Okay.
When you say people are not voting, now you and I both have come up where we didn't have so many black people in so many positions.
Okay, right.
Political, social, entertainment. Remember the days when we would call up and say who was black on television?
Okay.
Remember the days when Jet used to list in the book which black was on what station? So we grew up where we didn't see so many people, and of course I lived in D.C. where I saw black people become certain, in different positions.
Okay.
Now, as far as participating in voting, we used to say, oh, God, we put a black person in there, things going to change. Now,
yeah.
I'm going to say some things that some people are going to get very upset, mad, whatever. If they could control my job, they make me quit my job. If they control the paper, because we say, well, if I get a black this, a black that, it's going to be different. We have found out that it is people are people, and people get into power. They act like anybody else in power. It's something about power. It is something about power. I don't know who said power corrupts or an absolute power corrupts absolutely. Somebody said something similar to that. So when you put a black person in office, we think, oh God, things are going to get better, things are going to change, and they don't. It depends what things you want changed. But then being apathetic, you understand that you as an individual, you as a group, you as a community, you are part of the change, and you don't just wait for somebody in office to change. You must affect that change. You must do something to help it change. You don't sit back and say, well, I know they're going to fix it. No, you got to be a part of fixing whatever it is.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Dr. Johnnie Griffin. She's a sociologist. She's a professor at Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. And she's providing information for us about apathy, sympathy, and empathy. Dr. Griffin, in the city of Chicago, we had a Secretary of Education, Duncan, I guess, from Chicago, Illinois, that became the United States Secretary of Education. And we thought, sure, things would change. He'd been so closely related to the president and being from Chicago also. But nothing changed. What happened in the field of education that he's no longer there now?
Okay. See, the thing about it, what kind of changes do we want? What we say we want things to be better. What do you want to be better? Let me tell you some things I'm seeing teaching in college and having come through where I didn't even know I was going to go to college, okay?
Okay.
And coming through where we did learn how to read and write, and I did some arithmetic. There's some things that I'm noticing, and I didn't realize something very basic that they're doing in our education. Folks want to say it was just No Child Left Behind, blah, 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 blah. But something very basic has happened in our educational system in the classroom relative to what students are being taught. Do you realize, and I hope people are listening to this and they start talking about what's going on. Do you realize that in many schools, I can't quantify what they are. They're not teaching students cursive writing.
Okay.
They are saying we don't do that anymore. I hear people say you don't do what anymore? Oh, my grandson said, we only need to know how to write our signature. That's the only reason why we need cursive. I said, what? And then I started hearing more. Now, let's look at cursive writing, which is the handwriting, which is not printing,
Okay.
It taught, and I hope the listeners are really listening to this and that they will get out here and start campaigning on what students need to learn to do in class and stop saying, well, we don't do no more, okay? Because I know I was writing something on the board, and a student asked, this is a college student, she didn't understand what I had written because I wrote it in cursive because I'm from the cursive, I'm writing,
Okay.
And she said, what's that word? I said, what's that word? My first inclination is, child, can't you read? But it wasn't that she couldn't read. It's just that she had not been taught cursive, not only to write it, but to read it, and that is going to affect our education learning. So think about what cursive did. When we learned how to, first you learned how to say the alphabet, you learned how to recognize the alphabet, you learned how to write the alphabet. Of course, you learned how to print it. Then later on, you learned how to write the letters together. Now, you also learned how to write between lines. You learned big letters, little letters. What you were learning actually was not just how to write letters, but you were learning discipline. You were learning practice. You were learning how to memorize things and how to develop a sense of writing something so that you were developing a style. Now, just imagine something so simple as cursive being taken out of a classroom because someone says we don't need this because we have computers. Well, computers, I'm not anti-computer, but when you actually, it's just like reading a book or taking notes. And if you are writing your notes, and a lot of us don't know how to take notes, if you're writing your notes, you are actually, that's kinesthetic. You are actually doing something. If a teacher is talking to you, you're hearing it. That's audio.
Okay.
If you see it, that's visual. So when you're writing and someone's talking, you're using your audio, visual, and kinesthetic sense of learning. So when you're writing cursive, as you are learning cursive, you're learning many things. You're learning discipline. You're learning style. You're learning taking notes. You're learning a lot of things. We've allowed this to be taken out of the classroom. We've allowed it to be, and we don't even know. I did not know growing up that I was supposed to help my children with their reading and writing. I really didn't because my mother couldn't read and write.
Okay.
My grandmother, my aunt who raised me couldn't read and write. Many foreign people who came over here, their parents couldn't read and write. But the teachers helped them So when you say, well, you got to go home, it starts at school, at home, where your family has to help you learn your work. Well, I remember when they first changed math, when they said, okay, we're going to do different math. Mm-hmm. Well, the math that we did at home was different from the math that you did in the new math, so there was confusion being started because somebody said, here's what you have to do, okay? So, I don't know. And I did go to school in Chicago before I moved to California, and I did a church school in Mississippi. So I had to learn how to spell. I had to learn how to write. I had to learn how to do things. And we're not doing that now. We're not doing basic education in our classrooms.
Wow. This is very alarming, I'm sure, to the listeners here in Lake County. Now, will history record the President Barack Obama and his family the greatest presidential family in the country, and why?
Okay.
Loaded question.
I adore President Obama. I've read both of his books. In his books, he tells so much about himself that all the people are trying to do now is say you're not a citizen of the United States.
Okay.
You weren't born an American. You're this, you're that, and the other. He said so much in his book that you notice in the first term and even now they can't find anything so negative to talk about Obama. And I think personally, I haven't studied this, but since I lived in D.C. for so long, and I saw black folk rise up politically, and I wasn't really part of the early civil rights movement. Matter of fact, the only march I went to was the Poor People's March back in '68, which did change my life. I quit my good government job in Chicago with the welfare department and went back to college up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
But one of the things that with Obama, that reading his books and understanding him, that is one smart man. That man is so smart. And you know one of the smartest things he did? He married a sister from the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
I'm not putting down anybody anywhere.
Which also was his partial mentor, too, right?
Was his mentor. We all know, and he knows that this woman is smarter, okay? But, of course, but Obama, President Obama, was not part, as we know, of the black civil rights political elite. He was not a part of the Jesse Jacksons, all the other folk, Andrew Young. He was not part of that.
Okay.
As you notice, he wasn't any part of the Congress in Chicago when you had the Congressional Black Caucus. He was not a part of that. This is a young man that did his reading. When you read his book, he read a lot. He learned from the past. He learned what people did, and he did what he had to do to get. There was no way in the world this man was supposed to be president except by God. There was no way. But he did his homework. But because he was not part of that elite, you notice that the so-called black elite are not taking up for him. There's no way in the world Boehner should be saying what he's saying, and the Congressional Black Caucus is not speaking up for him. All right? Because it is just incredible. President Obama can't do anything right. He can't sleep right, eat right, walk right. Nothing he is doing, should I say, whatever he does, certain people put him down, but we, and not just black folk, but we need to rally behind him, and I'm sure we are, but you don't hear it in the media as much. But we need, President Obama is one incredible, intelligent, brilliant person. He is. I just adore him.
He's a world leader. You know, he deals with the world leaders and come back here and have to deal with the nonsense here from the Congress. Well,
the Bible tells you that a prophet is not recognized in his own community or his own home. So when he goes somewhere else, of course, the world knows, because we really aren't as worldly in the United States as people want us to think.
Okay.
We're really not as worldly. But he goes every place else, and he is respected because they understand.
Okay.
And you know, I was in England last week or so, and I was at a pub with my grandson.
Okay.
And this white man came up, and we started talking about, I don't know how he knew I was from America. I talk funny. He said I have an accent. And he started talking about his being in America and where he'd been. And he said, now this is at a bar, at a pub. Okay. He said, oh, I feel so sorry about how they treat you people back there in America, meaning us black folk, right?
Okay.
And since I know my history, and I know some of the history of the English, the Irish, the Polish, whatever, I kept saying to him, you know what, they treated you bad too. Some people treated you bad. You know, I couldn't get that man to understand ethnically that from his ethnicity that he also was treated. Just like you don't hear people say Irish, no dogs are Irish allowed.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
When you look at that. But anyway, that's another conversation right there. But President Obama is an incredible person, and he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, that we've had.
This is a fan. I tease people sometimes. I say, why don't you call him a white president? His mother is white. Why you call him a black president? Because his dad is black,
Well, actually, yeah, his father is what from is he from Kenya or
Kenya?
Or Kenya, and his mother. But I see, I'm into system sociology, especially one that deconstruct race. I would like to know what ethnicity his mother is. See, we have dichotomized race.
Okay.
We've talked black, white, and then they put other, mixed, whatever. But see, we keep dichotomizing race. Understanding race has to do with nationality or nation, where you are born, where you are, and we have allowed race to be defined, and we don't protest it by this little one drop. I don't care how white. I got in my family, and a lot of folks do too. My old ancestors, white, blue-eyed. Whiter than anybody white. Okay. You have people who are brown-skinned that are being categorized white. When we talk about racism, we're not really dealing with what is really race and what is really racism. You understand? Yep. So with the dichotomizing of race makes us talk about both races this, both races that. I guess we should have another program, but I talk about things.
Well,
that
we can do that.
Yeah, I'd love to. But what I see and what I'm saying is not what the people who are in the media are saying, especially the black folk. But I'm going to say one more thing, if I may, if we have a minute.
Okay.
People talk about the problem that we have has to do with integration.
Okay.
Oh, when we integrated, things got worse. Okay, I've been hearing that for years and years and years. It's just like my son used to say, well, at least I'm not this, and at least I'm not that, at least I'm not on drugs, at least. And I heard him say that for years, and finally I said, wait a minute, honey, I want to hear some at most. At most, what are you doing? At most, what is it? I don't hear that anymore from him. So with this integration that people talk about, I started thinking, I said, wait a minute, as I have seen it, especially living in D.C. for so long, it wasn't integration that, as far as my theory is, it was not integration. It was VIPization. I hope people listen to that, think on it. It was VIPization, where we had this idea of very important people, okay, and we treated certain people as if they were very important, and we treated other people as if they were not. And we did this to our own folk. Those of us with education and with money, with houses, whatever, we started looking down. And now someone will say, yeah, but all of us didn't do it. I'm not talking about all. I'm talking about VIPization. I was at a meeting years ago in D.C. where this public relations person had on the door of her PR place. They were having a meeting at the Washington Hilton. Mm-hmm. She had a white piece of paper that she wanted everybody who came to this meeting or to this conference to write their name on this white board. In the center, she had a circle and she had VIP. So those people that were VIPs who came, she wanted them to write their names in the circle. I never forgot that, and I thought on that. I said, "What? Are we crazy? Are we crazy?" And you want to know why are we apathetic? We're apathetic. We lack enthusiasm because we are not doing what we are supposed to do or we should do. And we're buying into what people are saying, how we should think, whatever. So I really appreciate you calling me because, I have started to become a little apathetic myself.
Well, are blacks part of the problem?
Pardon me?
Are blacks part of the problem?
Black folk, you know what? We all are. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're all are. And even black folk. And see, we say things. We're not supposed to say things, okay? You hear black folk, we whisper to each other.
Okay.
That you don't want to hang out, that black folk are treating black folk worse than white folk.
Okay.
Yes, audience, I said it.
Yes.
Do you know how much trouble I will get into for saying that? Many of us, and the women too, many of us women are being mistreated by women, people who have forgotten from where we've come. Living here in Mississippi, people looking down on Mississippi, check where your folk came from. Okay. And check who did what when they went up north, and why did they go up north, and what was going on down here. That's another thing. We're apathetic about our history. We don't even know the history of our family. You got mamas not telling their kids who the daddies are. That's what the slave master did.
Right.
You have these men and women going out here having babies by all different kinds of people and not understanding what you're doing to the family. It's incredible what we're doing. Yes, we are doing some of the things to ourselves, and we have solutions to our problems if we specify the problems and listen to folk, not all of us with education. Listen to some of these old black folk who will tell you in one sentence a whole paragraph. But we don't go to them because, you're not educated, you live over there, and then we don't go back to where we came from. It's incredible. Yes, VIPization is one of the problems that we're having. And I speak up. Of course, I get my head chopped off for speaking up, but God's got my back, so I'm not too worried about it.
Just a second here. We only got 2-3 minutes left here, but the governors, the problem we got Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, North and South Carolina, Florida, and the people that really could benefit from the federal programs, the governors will not even accept the funding down there for them, but
That's
yet
right.
still they're Republican states.
And
Why would people report, I hate to say it, but I have to say it, why would they support the Republicans who's keeping them from in poverty?
Well, if you mean like down here where it is said that the black voters put this one person in,
okay,
that was to keep the other person out, and the other person has not even conceded. And actually, we should have had, based on the activities of the blacks in this state, we should have had and we did have a black person running for governor, but
right.
he didn't come. I think sometimes you think, well, I'm black, y'all gonna vote for me,
okay,
because I worked for his campaign, but he did not campaign like he should have among the black folk. He just assumed black folk gonna vote for him, and they did not. But the black folk fooled the people by going in there and voting for Cochran.
Okay.
And McDaniel is mad as heck. He is so mad. But that just shows you we could have done even more. But anyway, that's we get excited when people excite us. We move when you say I'm gonna take this away from you or whatever. But I know I get in trouble for saying what I say, but I'm saying it. So that's it.
Do people understand how important it is to vote in the next election?
No, they don't understand how important it is to even vote here in the local election. We have a new mayor, young mayor, who they say the white folk put him in. Mayor. Oh God, I can't think of the man's name. He'll be so mad knowing I can't think of his name.
Right there in Jackson.
Yes, Lord. Oh my God, I live in Ridgeland, but it's oh God, Yarber, Mayor Yarber.
Okay.
Now he did what other folks did. He got in and he started firing folk. Whoever Chokwe Lumumba put in, he started firing them.
Okay.
Now we do that. We got the power. I want my people in. People do the same thing that other folks did. So instead of looking at it as if you were to keep some of the same people in, then you could get. If you ever run again, which you will, you get those votes too. You don't just have only one set of people in, just my friends in or whatever. You mix it up, and you bring all kind of folks in. So you don't go and just firing folks because they were appointed by somebody else, and you want to. Oh man, we do some crazy stuff. People in general do it, but we have to start looking at where we came from, how long we haven't been in this business that long, and what we're doing to really harm us and the community. So,
well, this is more than just a minute left. Whose responsibility is it? Is pastors, the churches, the school system, the parents at home, the federal government, organizations to raise the child?
Well, of course, it's everybody.
Should be a combination, I guess.
Okay, I do have two sons. I raised them myself. I'm not raising myself, but I carried them. Okay. And the woman who's it goes to who you pick to be the father of the child if you did that. But we in our womb we start raising a child in the womb.
Okay.
Remember when Elizabeth the baby was heard and the baby jumped for joy when they heard I guess Mary's voice or whatever. The mama is we mothers are extremely important based on what we eat, what we drink, what drugs we do or do not take. We start the life. What thoughts we think. I truly believe that we started. We mothers. We carry these babies, these people inside of us, and we start them off on life. And that's what I believe. Okay,
that's the key. Okay, I want to thank you very much. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Dr. Johnnie Griffin, sociologist, professor at Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, and she has brought us some good things to think about, and we hope that we have a part 2 with her in the near future. Last minute, Dr. Griffin, you want to leave Lake County with?
Well, I just
about apathy.
Okay, let's become more enthused. Let's become brave. Let's become let's each individual. Don't worry about what's going to happen. Just make something happen. We make things happen. So go out and make something happen. Make some changes. Make some positive changes, and start with yourself.
Right,
okay,
right.
I'm not perfect. I make all kinds of mistakes, I tell you. But I tell you one thing, God has my back, and I am where I never thought I would be as far as being a professor based on where I was born in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. But just do something. Just start getting excited.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
We'll be looking forward to hearing from you again, and hope you have a great day.
Oh, God, Dr. Brooks, thank you so much. Give my regards to Mrs. Brooks, Mrs. Dr. Brooks, okay?
Right. Thank you. All right, see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.